Okay, guys, I want to welcome everyone to the stream. If you can't tell, we don't really have a studio like some YouTube channels, so I have to do this in my living room. And cables, cables, cables. I don't know if the cameras pick up, but these two cameras are back out as far as I can get them. It is definitely an OSHA fine. You can see the one right here running across. There's another one going to that camera. Cables running across here. Tonight we want to look at this guy. This is a GTX 100 made by Fender. It is not part of the, I guess, Tone Master group. They've been doing the GTX amps for some time. I'm pretty sure that the Fender Mustangs was the very first version of these amps. Now, before you get too far into it, on the back here, when you buy the, let me see if I can get it out. Let me set this guitar aside. This is something that is very important, guys. Oh, it actually has, it has Velcro straps that hold it in place. That's actually pretty slick. So I literally brought this home. I played it once, and I have deliberately not done much with it because I wanted to do the review. Now, you can see this right here is a foot controller. This comes with the GTX 100. And the reason I'm pointing this out is this foot controller is $80. Okay? If you buy the GTX 50, it does not come with this foot controller, and the amp is $100 cheaper. Right. That's why we bought this one. So for $20 more, you get the foot controller and the much larger amp with the 12-inch speaker. I have not plugged this in yet, but it says bank up and bank down. Okay? And then you can assign these pedals. And this is your modes. So if you push it once, it'll go to presets. Then you can use the banks. Push it again. Then this becomes just an effects. Turn on and off certain effects. And then if you push it again, it becomes a looper. So this has a built-in looper in the amplifier. It's actually pretty cool. Linnell wanted something that she could just literally plug into, change one knob right here, and it's going to change the effects. Okay? It'll go from clean to dirt to crunch. She didn't want to mess with, adding delay or adding effects, and she just literally wanted to turn one knob and have a completely new preset. Last night I played with it. The factory sounds aren't bad, but there's a lot of power in this thing. It did take me a little while to figure out the 3 buttons on the top. But once you play with it for 5 or 10 minutes, you start to get a grasp on what the little LCD screen is doing. So let's listen to it. So since it's a Fender amp, I decided to break out my Fender Les Paul. Yeah. This is Fender's answer to the Les Paul. If you don't know what this guitar is, you are missing out. This is a Fender FMT. It is a Telecaster, but it is a set neck Telecaster. It is not bolted on. It's a set neck, just like a Les Paul. Great access. Pearly Gate Seymour Duncan pickups. This is the Les Paul killer that Fender does not even advertise.
How heavy is it?
The amplifier is actually quite light. I don't know what it actually weighs. I'm used to carrying tube amps, And compared to a tube amp, it's a featherweight. This amp weighs nothing. It is very light, and it's got a 12-inch driver in it. I'm gonna guess it's probably 18 pounds. I'm gonna guess. We can go to Sweetwater and check the weight. It's very light. It's got a nice Torlex case to it. It's built really well. It does have an effects loop, and it has XLR out directs, and that's after your IRs. Okay, so you can go right to front of house on the XLRs. Now, I have not tried it. I wanted to do a review on this just like you were getting it out of the box to kind of see how user friendly it is. And I can honestly say it is quite user friendly. It's not overly complicated.
Annoying Critic said the app drove me crazy. It grays out some amps if you pick others, etc.
Yeah, I haven't plugged into the app. Okay, it's like the Yamaha you see right here. Love that amplifier. Without the app, there's a lot of things missing. Okay, does the amplifier sound nice without the app? Okay, you do have controls on the top, but there are certain things you just can't get to without the app.
Guitar says hundreds of different patches from other users and very easy to navigate.
Yeah, that's what I noticed with this. I deliberately did not put the app on the phone or anything. I wanted to see how good is the interface on the top. And from what I can tell, you can access everything right from the top of the amplifier.
CD Nelson said
wherein the Yamaha you cannot.
CD Nelson said, so basically this thing would wait around the corner and steal my Spark 40's lunch money.
There's Spark people that really like the Spark. I like those type amps, but I think the Spark falls in the category that this amp falls into. There are certain things like the compressor and changing. You can't get to the compressor at all from the amp. You have to use the app. Now you have reverb controls right on the top. In the app, you have 4 different reverbs. You can't switch the reverb type from the top of the amp. Okay? With this one, you can. Last night, I can get all the different reverbs, all the different amp models, all the different compressors, all the different delays, and every setting is available right on the LCD, and everything's, you push the dial, turn the dial, and the 3 buttons navigate in the menu. Now it does have an EQ where you can fix the EQ. You're like, well, why would you do that? You got knobs. If you're using it on stage and you have a certain EQ setting and you enter that EQ setting into the program here, no matter what these knobs are set at, it's automatically going to go to that setting. Okay? Now, something I did notice, okay? If you're on that setting, and let's say all your knobs are at 12 o'clock, okay? And in your setting, all your knobs are at 3 o'clock, okay? If you want to do a quick adjustment and you change the knob here, it just doesn't change this knob. It affects the 3-band EQ. So it will effectively re-engage the controls on the top of the amp and override your programmed EQ. I think, Fender, if you're listening, I think it should only override the control that you're turning. So if my treble's at 12 o'clock and my bass is at 12 o'clock and my mids are at 1 and I decide to turn my mids down to 12, it should only affect that. But it seems to, at that point, override in the top controls are now active in your preset. It does not affect your delay times, your compression, your gate, your release, just the controls on the top of the amp. But all in all, I was highly impressed at how easy it was to navigate through the amplifier. So this is basic delay. Okay, we're just going to go through some settings. I'm in the center position, my tone and volume's all the way up. And according to this, the gain is at like 1/3, volume's at 50%, treble looks like it's about 2 o'clock, mid's at 3 o'clock, bass is at 2 o'clock. That's according to the display. That's got a really, this is a factory preset. That has a nice sound. Check my tune. I changed string manufacturers on this guitar, and I'm pretty sure my intonation is now out. Whenever you change manufacturers, that usually, well, sometimes will affect your tune. Now, I think we're just a little loud. I'm clipping. All right. I'm just listening to it. I'm pretty sure that if I go through the amp selection, that is most likely a Fender amp model. Okay, like any factory amplifier, when I went through the settings last night, there are some of these that I think that someone just got in there and programmed for fun. How usable are they? I don't know. We're going to start out on 01. And this is another good way. I don't want to change the master. Okay, let's look at how good are the factory presets. A lot of factory presets, the volumes will go up and down. The advantage is, when I was looking at this amplifier last night, there's a overall volume and then a channel volume, like the amp volume, and then a master. So if you find you're having problems with certain channels being higher or lower from the factory preset, you can go in there and adjust all the masters to get them right, and then save it. But I want to see right out of the box, how decent are the factory presets? Are they going to go way high, way low? So here's number 1. And that's pretty consistent with the last one. This is called Twin Reverb Clean. let's go to our second preset. This one says classic rock. Let's go down to our bridge position. That sounds like something it's kind of got, I would say they're probably using some type of fuzz. I've never been much of a fuzz pedal kind of guy. To me, well, it's supposed to emulate a blown speaker.
It's Vox and his wife's anniversary today.
Ooh, congratulations, Mr. Vox and Mrs. Vox.
39 years.
Holy mackerel. That's a good showing, man. She must be a good woman. Any woman that can. Musicians are funny people, and believe me, I know a few musicians, and I know how they can get. Mrs. Vox, good man. He's a good man. Just give him a guitar every once in a while and let him buy some strings, and you got a man forever. Yeah, that sounds like some type of, fuzz pedal type distortion. So this is 3. This says Country Twang. Center position. That's not bad.
Is your guitar the one made in Japan?
This one I do not think is made in Japan. I believe this one's Indonesia. And this is the guitar I always point out to people. If you guys remember what was about 8 months ago, Fender come out with the Fender Standard Telecaster and Strat. And everybody raised Cain because it had a Fender name on it and it was made in Indonesia. Fender has been making the FMT in Indonesia for years. When I say years, this guitar has been made in Indonesia. And part of the reason it became the redheaded stepchild is because of that reason, Indonesia. It wasn't Mexico, it wasn't a Japan Fender, and it wasn't an American Fender. So people are like, oh, it's a Squire with a Fender name on it. There is nothing Squire about this thing. The neck on this guitar, the pickups, the top. This is a wonderful instrument. If you like a Les Paul and you just think they're a little bulky and heavy, check this thing out. If you're a Les Paul guy, do yourself a favor, go play one of these guitars. I think you're going to really like it. You're going to like the lighter weight. You're going to like the sound. You're going to like the way it feels. This is a Les Paul killer. Fender, if you're listening, you already make a great guitar. You don't need to do anything to this guitar. There's nothing that you need to change. If you want to make a better version of it, maybe put a hip shop bridge on it. But in a way that kind of takes away from the Telecaster part of it. You might want to. I don't even know. I don't know if I would put an ABR bridge on it. Just take the product you already have and advertise it. There's people that would buy this guitar. It's a set neck Telecaster with Seymour Duncan pearly gates. It's a great guitar. This guitar is not a one-trick pony either. It'll rock and roll if you want it to.
Is that amp good enough for heavy metal?
Yes. Now I did pre-program, but didn't hit save. Later on the stream, I am gonna program my sound in this amp. You can get my sound, very close to my sound, and you can get it relatively easily. I was highly impressed. Playing it at the store using the factory presets, I was kind of like, oh, okay, it's okay. And within 30 minutes, I had this thing sounding a lot like my rack. Highly impressed with this amp at its price point. You know, coming with the foot controller, we paid $500 for this. So we got a little bit of a discount. Plug out to Shenandoah Music and those cats down there. Again, shop your local music stores. Once they get to know you, okay, and they know you're serious about a product, they're going to treat you right. That local store needs your business. You know, Shenandoah Music needs me and other people like me. Okay, I buy from them, I take care of them, they take care of me. $500, that's a little bit of a discount. We were stupid happy. Okay, $50 more than the smaller amp because it was $450 and we got the foot controller. So well, I think Linnell got a good deal on it. Everybody's going to be different. Some people may not like Fender. It's a nice modeling amp. I've just kind of started tinkering with it. This review and us talking about it tonight, it's just like you are sitting right here playing with it for the first time. That's kind of what I'm doing. I didn't go through all the settings. I just want to kind of go through some of them. It's a Fender. So, of course, it's going to have more clean sounds from the factory. That's just Fender. So let's go to the next one. So here's Uber Metal. Now, if you listen to that, to me, that sounds fake.
Can you get the PV5150 sound and tone on it?
I didn't go that far with it, but this is the preset that I started messing with last night. Okay, and I got this preset to sound really good. And right now, to me, that sounds a little fake. Let's switch guitars. Let's actually plug in a metalhead guitar here. Now, going up here, you can start to, I have to relearn everything all over again. I think you hit FX. No, maybe not. I don't remember what I did. Okay, you hit the bottom button, and that goes into your gain structure, volume, and all that. We want to hit the center button. It'll say mono delay. Hall. I want to add one. I want to add. I tried to put the camera here, guys, so you could see it, but my camera was just washing out the screen. Let's do modulation first. So I want to do a triangle chorus, sine chorus, JC chorus, JC vibrato, sine. It's got a flanger. It's got a vibratone, vintage tremolo, sine tremolo, ring modulation, phaser, phaser 90, vibe unit, harmonic trim, 4-knob flanger. We're going to go with triangle chorus. Okay, I'm going to hit the bottom one. That one. And I don't want that much. So you have to push the knob, and we're going to decrease the amount. Ambient wash. See? Depth, phase. So you got to push the knob, and then you can change the phase. And by rolling the knob, it goes through the settings. Like this is depth, that's delay, and then level. It's got a lot of something in it. Let's go back to delay. We're going to replace. Hit delay again. So let's hit, what kind of delay do we have? Let's do tape delay. There's a tape delay. So now I'm going to hit the center button. Hit the bottom button, sorry. This is going to be our level. So again, you push down on this button, and you can change the amount. That's the level of the effect. Now I'm going to go over to milliseconds. Going to push the button again.
Steve,
On rock and roll, guys, now this is one thing that I don't really care for. You really have to spin the knob a lot. It was set at 1,000 milliseconds. A good trick, set about 110 milliseconds. Somewhere in that ballpark is going to put you where you need to be. What was that, hon?
Steve said, but can it triple rectifier?
I don't know if it would triple rectifier or not.
Or can it not a dumble?
Not a dumble. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, because this review is just what I said. We're attacking it. Oh, see, I switched presets, guys. So again, let me get back to the. I wanted to be on Uber Metal, but I accidentally switched presets. So let me push down Uber Metal. Sorry guys, we got to go back through that again. So I want to go to modulation, push the button. We want to use chorus. Yes, try chorus. Bottom button level is way too high, so I'm gonna set it at about 50%. So in heavy metal, to get my sound, you need a tri-stereo chorus. Let's take a little bit more of it out. Push the button again. I'm going to scroll over. Depth is good. Now they have the hertz set at 0.68. We're going to change that. We're going to run that up to about 2. All right. Now I'm going to go back to the main setting. Now we want to go to the plus sign right here. It'll have a little plus. You're going to push the button. And now we want to add a delay. For 80s type stuff, we want to try to find a tape delay. That seems to work about the best that I have found.
Devastator said first impressions.
First impression so far, once you get used to the interface, that's the thing. Get used to the interface. Once you get used to the interface, I think this is a nice little amp.
Brian said when he had his, he always used the app to make changes.
Yeah, I can see where that would be beneficial. I like not using the app. I want to see what the amplifier is capable of doing without the app. If I can't access everything from the top control, for me, I don't like that. I want to be able to sit down in front of it and make changes. Now here the delay was set at 1000 again, and see I'm just constantly spinning and spinning and spinning. So maybe in the app you can manually type that in. We're going to set this at like 210 milliseconds. I found that works pretty good for my style.
Mr. Fat said, oh, this amp is like those small, cheaper, $180 8-inch with closed back Mustang.
It's a much better Mustang, if that makes sense. This has got a 12-inch speaker in it. It's one of Fender's better speakers. The models and stuff in this are directly come from the little Fender Tone Master. So they're going to limit some of that. They want you to buy the more expensive unit. So this architecture is from that architecture, if that makes sense. So you're going to get very similar sounds, okay? You're not going to have the DSP, but you're going to get really similar sounds in a combo unit. It is not a tube amp. This is a solid state amplifier.
Steve said, how do you like the speaker?
Last night I really did like it. And it is crazy loud. It is crazy loud. All right. I'm not getting the delay that I thought I was going to get. And I'm not too... Oh, it's on bypass. I was getting ready to say, why am I not getting the delay? There it is. So once you get used to the interface, that's the thing. You got to get used to the interface. Let's go back to mono tape. Bottom. Now I can set my delay. And now it's set to 1500. So again, I got to sit here and spin this knob. This is the only thing that I'm not really too fond of. If I like the Artisan by Digitech, and the encoder knob on those would constantly fail. And it was because of this. You would sit here and spin 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 and spin. So I went from 1500, I'm looking for 210. So that's how long it took me to get there. Now I need to go over to level, and I'm going to take some of that. This is the wet dry mix. Level, look at it this way. How much of the signal is going to go into the delay? So now we're going to try that. We can decrease that level a little bit more. I think it needs just a little bit more. Okay. We've got our tri-stereo chorus. Now, our tri-stereo chorus is engaged. Always turn off your other effect when you're adding your effect. Because let's say I turned off the chorus because that chorus is going to affect the repeats on the delay. So go back, turn off your chorus when you're adding your delay. Once you get your delay set right, go back and double check your chorus. Now the chorus and the mono tape are engaged. So this is our sound. Okay, I think what we need to do now is to go into our distortion. Now that's set to Uber. Now let's look at our amps. We have a BB15, a FBE 100, Dual Showman, a Jubilee, Jubilee Rhythm. There's going to be a lot of Fender stuff in here. Blues Junior, Vibro King, Studio Preamplifier, acoustic, a Champ, 57 Twin, Bandmaster, 59 Bassman, 61 Deluxe. I'm looking for more of a high gain type thing. Here's one that says 60s British watts. 60s British, 70s British, 80s British. That's got a good sound. That sounds like that's emulating like a JCM 800, maybe a JCM 900 not cranked out. Okay, let's go to British color. Let's make an adjustment over here. I'm going to cut the mids, increase the treble. Let's take a little bit more of that out.
Strat Player said, eventually I would like to hear it clean, edge of a breakup with a guitar with single coils.
Yeah, we did some clean in the very beginning. We'll go back. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to click on that one And what I want to do, I want to take some of that gain out.
Mr. Fat said might be interesting to see how that guitar review from last night, the white guitar, would sound with this amp.
Would sound with it. So I took that, we're on British color. We're at about 1130 on the gain. We do not have a presence. Some of these have a presence. So I want to continue to tweak on this one. There's an old saying, these modelers are good. If you sit and play with it, if we go back, just rewind a little bit, go back a little further, this preset sounded awful. Okay? I don't know who, if I was a marketing engineer for one of these companies, I would say, look, we've got to put some decent presets in these. When people go to the store and they sit down with the amp, they want to scroll through it and go, oh yeah, that's bad. That's an awesome sound. Go to the next one. They want to hear good presets. I think Fender, on their clean presets, they sound great. But on their crunchy, more higher gain stuff, Fender, you need to get somebody to give you some decent presets, because these sit in the store and someone sits in front of it. You got to have some decent presets. Yeah, I think you can definitely get some good sounds out of it. That's not normally a tone I would use. It's a little darker than what I would actually use. Let's go into that. Let's look at Supersonic. Oh, here's 90s American. So I'm going to reset our EQ to 50% across the board. So again. That one's got a little funny. That one you'd have to go in, there's a little bit of a ring in it. Now, the person asking for metal, this says metal 2000. I would say it's quite capable of doing some metal. Yeah, quite capable of doing metal, guys. I'm not going to save that preset. This is not my amplifier, so I'll let Linnell mess. If she wants that sound again, she's going to have to play with it. Oh, I'm so bad, I know.
How rude.
How rude. Here's ambient wash. Again, factory presets, sometimes they can really go out in left field. SoCal Punk. That's kind of like Adamant. I guess. Surf Splash. I was expecting more of like a surf type tone. This is Blues Junior. Let me switch guitars. Someone said something about a single coil. Trying to think. I no longer have my 40th anniversary Strat. I sold it. So I'm trying to think of a guitar that I have that has a single coil in the bridge position.
Kurt said your camera's getting bad. It keeps going gray.
Yeah, both cameras are shot, guys. I'm working on it. If you guys can please put up with the bad cameras, I promise within the next month and a half we will have one replacement camera. So this is my FMT, and we are on the Blues Junior. Go up to our center position. That's pretty close. It's got a quang and a smack like a Blues Junior.
Steve said break out the Nashville.
I broke a string on the Nashville. Sorry. I was playing that the other night and I broke the B string. I was getting crazy with it. I do love that guitar, so I'll put strings on it this weekend. Let's go up to, this is called Silver Drive. Different sound. Stray Cat. Well, let's try it. Let's try that in the neck position. I think it's a little boomy, but it's very close to the sound. Let's take a little bit of the bass out. That's actually really, really close. I think if we just take our middle up to about 1230, treble 50%, and bass at 11. I'd say they're pretty close on that Stray Cat setting. This is called Bass Breaker Delay. Now this is the first preset that the master volume is not set right. It's way low. So let's turn it up. That's got a lot of delay in it. All right, let's go to the next one. This is called Chorus Funk. That's got a phaser or a flanger or something on it. It's not horrible. This is DLX and a fuzz. Again, our volume is dropped, so I'm going to turn it up. I'm not a big fuzz guy, but I think it's doing well. Acoustic guitar sound. So I assume this is supposed to make your guitar sound like an acoustic. Actually, that's pretty cool. That's actually quite cool. I like that.
Mr. Fat said, in your opinion, after running through those voices, how many of those, in your view, would giggers use? I am thinking giggers would bring their own sound.
Yeah, I think anyone playing out is going to program this. How many sounds do you need? We had a 50 song set list, and I had 3 banks programmed, and out of each bank, I think there was 8 sounds in each bank. But I'll be honest with you, I mainly played 2 banks, 16 different sounds. And believe it or not, most of those were one-off stuff. We did some Pink Floyd. Forget that. We did Comfortably Numb. So I had a Pink Floyd setting. I played basically 5 different presets for most of the set list. Should you sit there and try to emulate the artist's preset perfectly? Sure. But we were doing like remakes of cover songs. So we would do a metal version of it, or take a metal song and lighten it up and do a jazz version of it, or we took a pop song and turned it into metal. We were doing that 30 years ago. We got a lot of people pissed off at us for doing it. They're like, oh. But now it seems to be popular to do that kind of stuff. With the foot controller, it would be really easy to get yourself a couple like this sound. I wouldn't mess with that. I would just get the master output volume right, and this would be one that I would use. I mean, that's fine. See, it is, the output's way too high.
Can you play the intro to White Snake, Is This Love?
I used to be able to, because we played that song. This is love. I'd have to go back and listen to it. We used to play a lot of songs. I don't really remember too many of them. We did this one song, and it was I think they were a one-hit wonder. You gotta lose weight, fat boy. Lose weight tomorrow. Who was that? Was that Silverchair? You gotta lose weight, fat boy. I don't even remember it, but I loved playing it. And I think that was their only hit. I think it was Silverchair. We did a lot of Hootie and the Blowfish. I wasn't a big Hootie and the Blowfish fan, but we played a lot of Hootie and the Blowfish. We probably had 5 of his songs in different sets, or we played 5 of his songs. It was just popular at the time. We actually did 2 In Excess songs. Dun, 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 dun. We played a variety of stuff. If you were playing back then, you had to play what people wanted to hear. Could you play metal stuff? You could. It just didn't pay for the blown horn or the bass cabinet, or it didn't put strings on your guitars. So we played what paid, if that made sense. And we play a song, 3 times. Let's say we learned a song, we go somewhere, we would play, let's say it was In Excess Kicks. We'd play that song. If we got no reaction from it, we were like, okay, maybe it just didn't set in this crowd. We'd go to another bar, different town, play it again. If we got the same result, we give that song one more shot. If we played it the 3rd time and everyone was sitting or went up to the bar to get a refill, that song was booted. And if we couldn't learn the song, when you went to practice, you already had to know the song. If the band, by its 3rd attempt, couldn't play it, we booted it. Kiss, Keep It Simple, Stupid. There are so many stupid, simple songs out there that people like. The simpler the song, the more you're going to have fun playing, the more engaging you're going to be to the audience. I know, you want to show off your mad guitar skills.
How much was the amp?
This amp, we paid $500 for it. The map retail is $549. But if you call Sweetwater, you should be able to get 10% off. Or Shenandoah Music, where we purchased this one, just got some more in. So reach out to those guys in Winchester, Virginia at Shenandoah Music. Tell them Avery sent you. I do not get anything. Okay? I get nothing. They give me $49. Well, they gave Linnell $49 off this amp. Okay? And that's not because I give them plugs. That's because we buy a lot of stuff there, and I like those guys. You know, been buying that Vandenberg come from Shenandoah Music 30 years ago. So that's how long I have been dealing with that store. That's why I say if you can and you've got a good local store, support them.
Are you saying most people want to hear covers and less originals?
Nobody going to a bar wants to hear an original. People work all week. Okay? They want to hear what they're listening to on the radio or Spotify, whatever's popular. They don't know your song. They can't sing to your song. They don't know your song. After you're out playing for a couple years, maybe you might be able to fit a cover in or one of your own tunes in, and you get a little bit of a following, then you can do it. But I hate to say that. If you've got 10 or 15 songs that you've wrote, and there are certain places that will allow it, you can play there. But if you want to pay the bills, you're going to have 40 or 50 songs that are cover tunes that you can play on off nights or weekends to pay the bills, and then do your original stuff on the side. The problem is it's hard enough to find places that will accept live music now. Now you're going to go in and say I'm going to play stuff that no one's ever heard. It's a tough sell, Mel. Even if you're the world's best band, no one knows your music. It's going to be really hard for the bar owner or the establishment owner to let you do that. I know we wanted to write our own stuff too. We wrote a lot of originals, maybe one original a set, and we stopped doing that. It wasn't about us anymore. It was about getting out, having fun, and playing. I can have fun playing NXS. I can have fun playing Dokken. I don't need to, reinvent the wheel. I just want to get out and play. That was my point. And back then, I liked to show off. So I learned all that was part of the act, showing off, being a badass. I'm sure that I would probably fall out of the chair laughing at myself if someone videotaped me when I was 21, 22 doing the Eddie Van Halen, whatever I was doing back then. I was a better player back then than I am now. I didn't play for a long time, so I'm very rusty. And I'm getting a little older, so my hands and my fingers just don't work like they used to. Work injuries, stuff like that. When you're, I'm going to say between 20 and let's say 33, that's your prime. People are going to say, probably up to 40. Most likely not. By the time you're 32, 33, your body is already starting to deteriorate. The muscles, the tendons, you're already starting to go. You may not feel it. You can ride that even train, but definitely by 40, your muscles and like my wrists. Sometimes you'll watch me play and I'll make a funny movement, and that's something going on in my wrist. There's no sense in me going to a doctor to have it looked at because the doctors can't fix it. I can't think of one person a doctor has saved. They've all died. Period. So I want to live my life. If I want a steak, I'm going to eat a steak. I'm a diabetic. That doesn't mean I go out and eat a gallon of ice cream, but I'm going to live. I'm not going to sit here and eat rice cakes. I'm not. If I want a steak and I want an ice cream sandwich, I want to live. While I'm on this earth, I want to enjoy my life. Music is part of that. So me going to a doctor isn't going to help that much, if that makes sense. If it's going to take away from me being me and enjoying life, I can take a couple days off my life. Now, I'll probably change my tune when I'm in the hospital bed and the doctor says, you got a week to go. I'll probably say, I shouldn't have had that ice cream sandwich. But that's, you can ask Leno. That's how I feel. I haven't been to a diabetes doctor in 15 years. And don't tell me you need a prescription, because you do not need a prescription for your medicine. They cannot deny you life-saving medicine. That's a good setting. I would definitely use this setting. That's a nice setting. That's called acoustic guitar sim. This is called Breathe. That's got a phaser or something. Again, we had to turn up that one, so now I got to turn it down. This is called Jazz Clean. All in all, I'd say it's... Now, here's one. I don't know what you would use this for. This is probably more, this is called synth. All these have weird ones like that. This is called Hell's Gate.
Is it Vox time?
It can be. This is called 80s Hysteria. So I'm assuming that this is probably a Def Leppard tune. I don't remember any Def Leppard. That's like a shimmering type chorus. Let's go up to our neck position. That's got a lot of delay in it. This is called Master of Mullets. Kind of dry sounding. This is called Tube Soup. Fired up lead. Let's turn this one up. Again, the preset volumes. A little bit more. That one's usable. You would have to go in and make a couple changes in the EQ. And you're going to do that with any amp. Like this is a humbucker guitar. That's a pretty good preset for rock and roll and metal. Echoing chimes. this is what I mean. You'd have to go through and modify the presets and get these volumes at a decent. See how much difference there is? Again, that's got a lot of effects. This is called Bedroom Pop. That one's hard to play. Now this is a 2C plus, so this is supposed to be a Mesa Boogie on clean with a 112. That's what it's saying. It's 2C plus clean, 112. Again, the preset is very loud. Very loud. That's a nice sounding preset. It definitely needs something done with the volume control. Yeah, that's got some spank to it, guys. I think it's quite capable. But since it's break time, Box is going to pass out on us if we don't take a break. If you guys have any questions or something that you want to look at directly on the amplifier, please put that in the comment section during break. I think we hit some crunchy sounds, we hit some metal sounds, we hit some clean sounds. There are, I think, over 100 presets. Let's scroll through it real quick before the break. There's a lot of clean sounds on the upper side. I'm past 100, it's still going. Oh, wow. I'm at 150 and it's still going. It seems like 189 is the last factory preset. So there's 189 preset sounds, amps, or models loaded in it. That's kind of crazy. I think it sounds pretty good though. I like the amplifier. Any questions you guys have? Like I said, we normally don't do pedals and amps. I've never had much success putting out content on amplifiers and pedals, but everyone was kind of curious what Linnell was getting, and this is Linnell's amplifier. Again, she purchased it because she can plug her guitar into this. There's a master volume and a knob. She'll just scroll through, get a sound she likes, and turn up the volume. For someone wanting that, there's 190 presets. You can't tell me you can't sit down and find one or two or three or four that you would enjoy playing. That you could just sit down, plug your guitar, and go, yeah, I can deal with that. So that's what she was looking for. but it also has some controls. She can just kind of roll over here and add some bass, add some treble, do what she needs to do. We are using the headphone jack, so she could plug headphones in it, or she could rock it out. It is stupid loud. When I say it's 100 watts. Now that's 100 solid state watts. So I'm going to say that this is probably equivalent to like a 40 watt or a 50 watt tube amp. That's about where I'm going to put it, in between a 40 and a 50 watt tube amp, which, believe me, that's loud. My rack amplifier is a 50 watt tube amplifier, and it gets stupid loud. So I don't see any place you couldn't play with this. If this is too small, then you need to put a mic in front of it anyway. If the place is that big and this won't carry it, you're mic in the cabinet anyway. This would be all you would need on stage as a monitor. Comes straight out of the back, goes straight in front of house. It's loud. Believe me, I've never played anywhere where I wouldn't be able to hear this amplifier on stage.
What is your recommendation on buying a bedroom amp? I found a HT5R MK3 bought in 2025 Black Star for $200. What do you think?
I've got a Black Star Core 10. It's the little tiny amplifier downstairs. That Black Star has been bulletproof. That's the one that I use down in my shop when I'm servicing guitars.
He also said he has a LT25 Fender.
Yeah, the LT25 Fender, I'm pretty sure that's the one I bought my son. His is still working, and that was 15 years ago. It was one of the first Mustangs when they first come out. Been a good amplifier. Does everything, is it awesome now? It still has some good sounds. It really does. That's not a bad sounding amplifier. Bedroom amp, I would say one of these. These work well. Black Star's got the new IDX. If you want something that's very, very nice, I would say top of the food chain is probably the Black Star IDX. Next, I would probably go Katana, or Boss. I would go with the Artisan. And that's going to be a little bit more money than the IDX, but it's going to be a bigger amp. They make one in a 212 Pro. I forget what that amplifier is called. It's like $1,200. It's a big amp. I do think they make a smaller version, a 112, that would be bedroom friendly in the Artist model. Again, I think that amplifier is in the 650 range. You can't go wrong with a Boss Katana, just the standard 50 watt Katana. They're bulletproof. They're just bulletproof, and they're inexpensive and they sound good. I'm not one to really ask too much about it. I can go by this amplifier. I would not buy the Black Star Silverline amp. I had one of those. I struggled getting good sounds out of that Black Star amp. It's called the Silverline.
He's buying used.
Buying used. I don't buy a Silverline. It's got a silver cabinet, silver front. It says Silver Deluxe, I believe. You might like it. It didn't take pedals well. The distortion sounded funny. The clean sound sounded okay on it. My Boss Katana I had was lightweight, portable. It was loud. Probably the best bang for the buck. And then if you want to save a little bit, you can get this one in the 50 watt, but you don't get the foot pedal. People claim they like the Sparks for a bedroom amp. I don't know, if I was going to buy a bedroom amp myself, I would probably look at the IDX from Black Star. Trying to think what else I would look at. You can find one of those used. I think Kurt posted a used Marshall. It was a DSL 20 or something. He can put in the chat what that was. Those were good amplifiers.
Steve also suggested maybe a PV Valve King.
Yeah, the Valve King was a good amp. Any trans, was it the trans tube that PV made with the triangle on the bottom? Those were solid bedroom amplifiers.
Devastator suggested a Katana or Spark.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with a Katana. You really can't. It's very lightweight. They're a good sounding little amplifier. Um, I'm trying. When you go used, it depends on what you want. Something like this, the advantage to an amplifier like this is all your effects and everything's built into it. You don't need to buy the amp and then turn around and buy a bunch of pedals. If you can just plug this right in your bedroom, and it's not a mess. You get some of these amplifiers, you got to have a distortion pedal and a delay pedal and this pedal and that pedal, and it's just a mess in your room. This, plug your guitar in, everything's built in. The Katana is very similar to that. This is a lot more flexible and user friendly as far as getting more sounds out of than the Katana.
He said this is Mark. He said the Blackstar HT5R MK3 5 watt seems to be a good choice. It's a year old and $200.
Yeah. Like I said, I've got the Core ID 10 downstairs, and I haven't had any problems with it. It's a stereo, got the two little speakers in it. I think it's a different model. The one you're talking about, I think is a much nicer amp. I paid $89 for that little Core 10. It actually sounds pretty good. It's got a little, I think it's an 8-inch speaker. No, it's got two of those little micro speakers in that one. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's really up to you and your budget. I think you've gotten some really good suggestions. Nowadays, man, it's really hard to go wrong. Okay? Just like this amplifier. You may not be a Fender fanboy, but this amplifier has some good sounds. And earlier I took one of the crappier distortion sounds, and within, 5-10 minutes, I had it sounding good, tweaking the settings.
Mr. Fat says, how's the build quality on the GTX? Does it feel cheap?
No, this is a nice build. I looked at it down at the store. It's a solid metal back on it. It's an open rear. See that? It's an open rear cabinet. Can you see that?
Mark said the amp downstairs is not a tube amp.
No. This one's not a tube amp either. If you're wanting a small bedroom tube amp, you can't go wrong with the Classic 30 by Peavey. But again, it's a basic valve amp. So if you want delay, reverbs, delays, chorus, you're going to have to buy pedals. I don't really have a suggestion. If you want to go, you want to stick with a bedroom amp, so that's a combo. There's not really a combo tube amp on the market with built-in effects. You might get reverb. So you got to think about that too. So if you buy something like this or the Blackstar that you're talking about, it's going to have some basic effects already in it, even that smaller Blackstar. It's going to have some delays, it's going to have some reverbs. So that prevents you from spending more money and more clutter, since it's a bedroom amplifier, if that makes sense. But if you're looking for a small valve amp, I don't think you could beat the Peavey Classic 30. I know what you're going to say. Oh, they're $500 for it. Well, that's a lot cheaper than even a used Fender small amp. The little Blues Junior, even used, those go for $758. So I don't think you could go wrong with that. I think Blackstar made a couple small valve amps. I have an HT20. I can't recommend it because a year and a half after I purchased it, it stopped working.
He said the HT5 has reverb.
Right. I had an HT, this is the 2.0. It's the limited edition green one. Something happened to it, now it's not working. But when it was working, it was a great sounding amp. But that one stopped working. So I can't recommend that amplifier. It's personal taste. I could definitely make this amp work, and I could definitely make the Katana that used to be here work.
He
I
said
I think I would struggle with the Silverline Deluxe by Blackstar. I didn't care for that one.
it said it has an effects loop and a switch to drop to half watt.
Yeah. If you get an effects loop, then you can turn around and buy, I forget where it's at. This would be a cheap option.
Well, he's talking about the Black Star has an effects loop.
Yeah, the Blackstar has an effects loop. So this is a Pod Express. So you could put this in the effects loop. These are pretty cheap. I think I paid $129 for this one. And it's going to give you some more distortion settings. It's got flanger, phaser, tremolo, chorus, tape delay, ambience, hall. It's got a mid boost. So you could purchase something like that. And that's a Pod Express Black. Um, for the money, I don't think you can beat it because it's got a lot of different effects on it. So you could get that amp at something like this, and then you could emulate everything that this one's doing with some tape delays, some flangers, some phasers, and still have a pretty simple bedroom setup. So you're gonna have your amp come out of your effects loop into this, and still plug your guitar into your amplifier.
He said he's got 10 pedals.
Yeah, well then you don't have to worry about it. Ha! You got 10 pedals. You're set to go. All right, guys, we're going to take a 5-minute break. I don't know how long we've been on, but it's definitely break time. And when we come back, I'll answer some more questions about this little guy. This is our first amp review in probably 2 years. I don't usually do amp reviews, so I'm sure this was a train wreck. If you're watching later, people are like, what's this guy doing? We're more of a guitar review channel, but I wanted to give this guy a little bit of a, showing. It's here, and I found it really cool last night playing with it, so I wanted to share. All right, guys, it's a 5-minute break. Please post some questions or anything else in the comment section, and we'll be right back. Oh, and I'm going to use my Thursday night intermission window. Okay, guys, I actually have both cameras facing this direction on this stream. So it's going to be hard for me. I didn't think about that. I set both of them up over here. I did switch cameras. This is the one that just shuts off sometimes. Um, so back to the amplifier. I guess I need to give my thoughts on it. For what you're getting, okay, because you're getting the foot controller with the amp. That's why if you're looking for a bedroom amp, it's a pretty nice little setup. It is. This is a pretty nice little setup. And I'm by no means a Fender fanboy on amplifiers. Um, I like that it comes with the foot controller. It even comes with the cable. Um, it comes with a guitar cable too, but kind of cheap. But the cable for this was nice. Um, at 500, that's what we paid for it, and even 550 for a 100-watt amp with all the effects that this thing has built into it, and as loud as it is, the quality of the speaker and the driver, I had no issues with it. And you can ask Linnell. I had it cranking last night. I wanted to hear what this amplifier sounded like when it was loud, and I will say this: I think it sounds much better once you get past the third volume. It really starts to move air. It's impressive when it's cranked up. And what I found with most modern lamps, they sound good low, but when you crank them, they fall apart. This amplifier seemed to do the exact opposite. It acted more like a valve amp, especially on the high gain channels. When I turned it up, it felt good. Um, it was a good sounding amplifier. That's just my opinion on it. I don't think you can go wrong with it. I'm looking at the market and I'm looking at what effects cost and the power that this thing has. Um, I would be far happier, not that we're going to do it because Linnell bought this, so I didn't use it during the stream. This is a far better streaming amplifier set up the way I have it than the Yamaha. I know if you give me just 2 or 3 nights tinkering with it, I could pre-program a good crunch, a good clean, and a good high gain sound on this amp, and it would be fine. The Yamaha, I will say this: it just has a high gain sound coming out of the headphone jack that I think is just a little bit better than this as far as the breakup on the distortion. The quality of the effects, though, on the tape reverb and the tri-stereo chorus and the Fender is better than the Yamaha. So I know it's two completely different monsters here, but we're talking about bypassing the internal amp and speaker and coming out of the headphone jack and using it as a stream amplifier. The Yamaha has a better high gain circuit. This has a much better crunch and a much better clean circuit and much better overall effects as far as what you get to pick from. You only have 4 different reverbs. I think phaser, flanger, chorus in this. This has a ton of different modulation effects, a lot more power. So this amplifier is $389. So you could get the 50-watt version of this for $450. I guarantee you could find it on sale for $399. I would buy the GTX 50 if you're looking for a bedroom amp over this one. Okay? Just simply because of the amount of effects and how good the effects are. That's just my thought on what I compare it with what I have. But I can see that this would be a better amplifier to stream with. Do we have any more questions on or?
No, no questions.
Okay. So what do you guys think? Or is amplifier something that we should do more reviews on? It's kind of up to you guys. I've never I've never went to Shandor Music and spoke to them about reviewing amplifiers.
I do know they want to hear the Iceman through it.
They want to hear the Iceman through it. Where is the Iceman? Okay, let me go find the Iceman. It was right there, so I'll probably put it in the other room because I was going to use the shuck during this. Let me go get the Iceman. And I've already changed the channel, and I didn't save my preset. So we'll probably have to reprogram a high gain preset. The Iceman is actually over here. It's very tight in here with all the microphones. So let me get my headphones on.
Kurt said more amps, please.
More what?
More amps, please.
More amps.
The reviews.
Oh, okay. All right, that's 189 ZZ Top. This just says hair metal. So let's check out the one that says hair metal. Rage Shifter. It's got some kind of phaser. That's just called horrible, and I would have to agree. That is horrible. This is called SRV. They really need to go through these presets and get them set. That's called Stripped Orchid. Teaser. Space Out. That's got a lot of stuff on it. This is called Metalcore. Let's turn this one up. That's definitely got a metal sound to it. This has got some kind of, that's got some kind of pitch shifter in it.
Steve says, how are you connected out from the amp to your wing? Is there an IR that's activated?
I didn't look at the thing. It has what's called an XLR out, okay? And the manual that it comes with goes over the programming here, but it doesn't tell you what the XLR is. And I didn't want to go from that output into the wing. So we're coming out just like I normally do with the Yamaha. We're coming out right here on the headphone jack, stereo, into the wing.
Does the GTX have a speaker out for a cabinet?
It does not. I asked that at the store. It does not have another jack that you can run an external cabinet. So what if you wanted an external cabinet? What you would have to do is you'd have to unwire the driver, okay, and you would put a special jack in to where when you plugged another cabinet in, it would turn the speaker off. It's easy. It's an easy mod to do, but it's not. It doesn't come from the factory to where you can get an extension cabinet and plug the extension cabinet in it. For those wanting to do it, the factory speaker is 4 ohms. Okay. So remember what I said? It sounded better at higher volumes. So if you put an 8 ohm speaker on this, it's not going to be as loud, but it's going to push the amplifier, okay, a little bit more. And it might open up some sounds a little bit because I noticed the amplifier did really come to life, okay, past a quarter volume. At a third volume, it's freaking loud. This is a loud amplifier. I would say you could get away with that, but the factory speaker is 4 ohm. So there's a lot of wild sounds. Here's Bleach Blues. That's a nice preset. This is called Just Left Chicago. That's the big thing that I see with all these modeling amps. Guys, if you're an amp manufacturer and you release a product, just go through your presets and get them close. They don't have to be perfect, but get them semi-close. Semi-close. That's called Space Force. This is called Breaker Drive. That's kind of cool. Metal lead delay. That's not bad. I think it just needs an EQ change. Let's try it. That one's not horrible. This is called, again, listen. So, big difference in volume. That's kind of neat. Filtered echoes. Let's go up to a nickel on that one. Filtered echoes. Here's our tremolo effect. I used to have a tremolo effect on my Fender Twin Reverb. That's different. Fuzz, more fuzz, another fuzz, 75s. That's got a phaser or something in it. Mid-boost rock. That one needs an EQ setting. Okay, this one's called Your Mom. Don't know why. That's bridge. Center. That's quite bassy. Tremolo killer. I kind of like the vibrato. And doing little crazy things like that. I kind of like the vibrato effect. That's hard to do, guys. You tell them how to practice. I kind of like those effects. It's very old school. So it's just a ton. I'm just going to go through and strike some notes. This is Holdsworth. Get Lucky. Much difference there are between the neck pickup in this guitar and the bridge. There's quite a large difference. Let's get down. Let's scroll down here a little bit. The Evil Basement. That's some kind of fuzz. Dual chorus. Again, you can hear how loud the factory settings kind of go back and forth. That one's not too bad. Another octave type thing. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I try not to play other people's music because YouTube really sucks. Another vibrato type thing. This is I don't even know how you pronounce that. Moodoo verb. Must be some kind of emulation of some kind of pedal. This is called a Van Flanger. some kind of flanger. Basic phaser. Basic vibratone. Again, that is the most irritating thing about modeling amps. And it's not just this one. Every modeling amp I've had, when you change presets, you're constantly having to screw with the volume. For the life of me, I can't. It has a master volume in every chain. Someone can go at the factory and double check these presets. I mean, is it a big deal? Absolutely not. But they should at least be close. That one's neat. Basic delay. Like that one. Basic chorus. I guess this is just going through the basic single effects. Clean Studio Pre. Sounds like it's just a little bit of reverb, very basic. Now, we were looking at the Mesa Boogie earlier, the 2C Plus on clean. Just ran across the lead model of that amplifier. So here's the Mesa Boogie 2C Plus. Switch guitars here for a second, guys. I want to hear that one with the Schecter. We are ordering more cables. If you can't tell, we did eliminate all the hum and noise that was in the system. The drawback is now I only have a couple cables that are shielded, and they're very short. So now you can hear what's more important, the guitar or the amp. The amp is the most important key, but if you listen to the pickups in this guitar versus what you just heard, that the pickups that are in the Iceman are Ibanez's bottom tier pickup. So you can hear it right now. You can hear how much meaner that sounds. Let's modify that a little bit. And it's doing the basic thing that a Mesa does. Yeah, that's acting like a Mesa. I cut the mid a little bit and boosted the treble. So this is 12 o'clock bass,
Kurt
11
said,
o'clock mid.
Kurt said it still sounds horrible.
Yeah. Yep, that's that setting. I can't do anything about it. I'm just going through the settings, guys. Here's Metal 2000. It seems like all the high gain settings in here need a lot of tweaking.
What's it mic'd up with?
We're coming out of the headphone jack right into the interface. So there's no mics. No mics. No mics in front of the cabinet. I find that doing streams, this is the best way of doing it. The factory speaker does sound really good. It really does. Just doing streams, it's hard to play at that volume in the room with the open mics. So, this is how we normally do it. We normally use the Yamaha right there, and we come out of the headphone jack right into our interface, straight to YouTube. Everything you hear is the amp, just like if you had your headphones on in your bedroom and you were playing it. You got to think, this isn't a traditional amp. So the speaker that's in this cabinet is more of a full range speaker. It's not a guitar speaker. Okay? Modeling amps don't really have guitar speakers. It's more of a full range driver. It's a process signal that's already coming out of this. So coming out of the headphone jack into this is the exact same thing that you're going to hear through the driver. It's not like a regular amplifier where the speaker is adding color. The speaker should be flat, if that makes sense. It shouldn't be adding too much color, although all speakers do add color, but it's supposed to be as flat as possible. That way, whatever you're doing in the amplifier and the modeling, the speaker's just designed to reproduce that. Let's go to the next one. That's called supersonic gain.
Okay. I cannot pronounce this. It's it looks like Barrow Zinc, maybe. I'm sorry if I butchered that. But he says, I'm thinking about getting an amp after using Sims for 2 years. Does it really matter if it's mic'd or straight to DI?
I'm not a big fan of the DI box, if that makes sense. Anytime that you can get a mic, involved, you can add color, okay? The drawback is finding the right mic to work with your amplifier. Exact same thing with the DI box. If you get the wrong DI box, it doesn't matter what your amp is, it's going to make it sound awful. From what I understand, the aux box has a great DI box on it, but as a load box, it's evidently not. I mean, a lot of people like it, but as a load box, it really alters the sound, if that makes sense. But they claim the direct circuit on it, the direct DI box on it, is great. What's it? The Waza, the Boss. I believe that one's really good. So it really comes down to what you buy. It really does. You get what you pay for, if that makes sense. This is a $550 full map price amplifier.
He's been looking at the SM58.
The SM58's more known for vocals. The SM57 is a more known for instrument. Actually, let me hang this up and I'll show you my Egnator setup. You'll be interested in this since that's what you just talked about. Let me see, which camera are we using? That one. Let me switch the other camera and I'll show you my setup that we have over here. I have to unclamp the clamp and literally move it. And it's not going to reach. So we're struggling with cables, guys. Camera. Now I'm going to switch it on the OBS. So this is my Egnator. These are SM57s. Right here, there's two. These are SM57 betas, which is a little bit better microphone. And these are a stereo pair of SE microphones. The smaller ones. This one and this one. So normally when I'm miking up the amp, I don't use all four. These are the two that I was using last stream. But I used two different mics due to color. So if you're going to use two different mics to color your signal, and everyone does it, every studio does it, you'll see multiple mics. You can blend the taste. So what you want to do, let me switch cameras here. You let's pretend that this is the speaker and you put two mics on it. You can change the distance of the two mics on how they read, and you can actually go into your mix and decrease, okay, the volume of this one. You're going to affect the sound, the deep, how bright it is, how much air is going across the diaphragm by how close it is. That's why if you're used to using plugins, when your IRs, it'll say mic distance, okay? And you should already have a pretty good grasp of what happens just using IRs when you back the mic off the cabinet. It's very similar. So use your prior experience when you put your mic in, kind of know what you like. But I use two different ones. That way I can kind of blend it, use it as an EQ. That's why I'm using an SA, and that's a stereo pair. It's two in a box, make it stereo. And then a SM57 beta. I would definitely get the beta, or if your heart's set on an SM58 and you're using it as an instrument mic, get the SM58 beta. The beta is a little bit larger dynamic range. It's a little bit hotter. Going out live and playing, the regular 57 and the regular 58 is more forgiving. Okay, they feed back less because the range has been squished. Okay, and they really have to be on the cabinet, if that makes sense. They're not. Those microphones won't pick something up too well that's too far away from it. That's why they became so popular. Another reason they became so popular, cheap. They were just cheap. You could buy a 57 regular back when I was playing out for $70, and you could throw it around, drag it behind your truck, plug it in, it still worked. It was cheap. They sounded decent. I'm not gonna say they sound good. They sound decent, and they were cheap. So the SAs are more of a bright, warm sounding microphone. So I use the two to kind of blend the taste, if that makes sense. And I don't even remember what the question started out on. What was the question again, hon? It was something about mics.
He was thinking about getting an amp after using Sims for 2 years and wanted to know if it really mattered if it's mic'd or straight to a DI.
Okay, my main question is, are you getting an amp because you're playing out? Or are you getting an amp to put in your room like this? If I'm playing out and I want like a tube rig, I wouldn't buy an amp. I would buy, a Synergy, something like that. Maybe the IR20, and get you a Synergy module. That way, I know it's more money. Okay, I get it. But once you're in the Synergy system, you can get the Fender Bassman module for it. I have one. I have a rack mount Synergy. I have a Sedano module in it, and it sounds like a Sedano because it is a Sedano. I have a Friedman module for it. It sounds like a Friedman because it is a Friedman. If I want a Dr. Z, I can get a Dr. Z module. I can get the 2C Plus that this thing doesn't seem to do too well modeling. I can put one of those in it. There's so many different preamplifiers that I can put in that Synergy 20-watt head, okay? And then I can buy a cabinet of my choice. I like doing that because you can take that cabinet in and your speakers make a big, big, big change in the way that thing sounds. If you go into a Guitar Center or a place, just tell them, I want to try out a bunch of different cabinets. Take your little amp, take your amp, and plug it in and pick what works best for you and your sound in that amplifier. Changing your speaker is the cheapest mod that you can do to any amplifier. It really is. So change your speaker and then pick the right microphones. It's not something that I can tell you what to buy. It's something that you're going to start your journey maybe next month, and you might still be chasing that sound 10 years from now. Because when you're modeling, look at how many different microphones you have to pick from in your IR. I'm going to use a Sennheiser. I'm going to use a 57. I'm going to use an AGK or AKG or whatever it is. And the distance. All these studios have different mics because some mics work well with this speaker. It works, do I face it directly to the cone? Do I face it at a 90-degree angle to the side of the cone? Do I want to face it more, set it towards the center of the cone and then face it towards the surround, the corner? All these things change the way the mic hears and the way it interprets that signal.
He said it's mainly because he just can't get the Sims to sound that good. They all sound digital to him.
This sounds digital to me. It does. I don't know if I can. Let me move my other camera. I don't know if you're new to the channel, but if you are, welcome. I'm going to move my little camera here. I'm going to look at another amplifier. All right, this particular amplifier right here, this is the amp that I played out with. That's my rack amp. And the very top unit is a wireless unit. That's a Line 6 relay that has the updated sped spectrum technology in it. Below that is the Synergy. If you're wanting to go down the road of tubes and you want all these sounds, I can't recommend the Synergy enough. Okay, you just got to pick what kind of amplifier you like the most. Do you like the Friedman sound? Do you like the 6505 PV sound? Do you like the Fender Clean Bassman sound? Do you like the Mesa Boogie sound? It doesn't matter. You can get a module to make the Synergy sound like that. And it's made by that manufacturer. The reason I say this is, let's say down the road you want to switch and you no longer, let's say you bought the Sedano and now you're into higher gain. But you can get a 6505 and just swap it out. Now you got a 6505 amp or a Friedman amp. You don't have to throw away your whole system. These amplifiers are expensive. They're $3,000, $4,000 a piece. Where in doing it this way, each module is only about $400. So you can have a ton of different amps. Sorry. Below that, a Synergy unit, you're going to see my SGX 2000 Express. That's where I get all my effects. Okay. Below that, that's a Audio Media Research inline tube preamp. That's my second stage of my tubes. There are two 12AX7s in the SGX 2000. There are three 12AX7s in the Audio Research line amp. And then, of course, the Synergy is all tubes as well. So I'm actually stacking preamps. I can stack three preamps together to change my sound. The magic device underneath that is a 362 BBE, originally designed for vocals, but they work phenomenally well on the guitar, and it really brings it adds so much life to the guitar, the 362, or an aerial exciter. It's basically the same thing. If you've never plugged your guitar into one of them, it's one of those things, it doesn't do anything. It just makes everything sound better. That's the best. It's not a phaser. It's not a delay. It's not chorus. It's nothing. But whatever you plug into it, it just makes it sound better. That's the best way I can describe it. Below that, that's a 6L6 Pro Valve BK Butler power amplifier. And the speaker cabinet that you see is a PV Butcher cabinet, and that is loaded with 4 Greenback Celestion drivers. So that's my tube amplifier.
Beretta Vandy has the same ART unit, and he said he's surprised you don't have a Rockman preamp in there.
The Rockman was a good unit, but I'm sporting. Let's go back to it. I'm sporting the Synergy right above the ART SGX 2000. That's a Synergy SYN2. The left unit is a Friedman BEDLX, which is a phenomenal. That's a 2-channel preamplifier. Okay, the Friedman. To the right of the Friedman is a 2-channel Sedano preamplifier. Okay. I actually have a solid state preamplifier and a tube preamplifier in the SGX 2000. So that gives me 6 preamplifiers plus the stereo preamplifier that's in the silver unit. The silver unit adds color. So that's in the effects chain. So I use that to soften up the digital sounds that I get with the ART. Okay, anything digital just has a harsh sound to it, especially more vintage stuff. So by running it through that tube line amp, I soften it and I brighten it and I can warm the signal. Okay, that's one of the tricks on making the art sound good, because some of the effects were real kind of brittle sounding. By running it through that tube unit, it really brings that to life. It's like using a spring reverb or a real tube modulation type thing. Tubes are just warm. So that's how I got around the ART problems. Rocktron made good stuff. I stuck with the SGX 2000. If I had to pick, I think the SGX 2000, that one has the ADA MP1 twin tube mod installed in it. I know for a fact that the preamplifier in that one is better than the Artisan Digitech, the Purple Monster. The drawback is the Purple Monster has a better reverb, modulation, and delay effects than the Art. I just, I want to keep it. That is an original unit. Okay? If I want to get that sound from that era, that's it. That's how you get it. You can't model it. You buy the equipment that did that sound. So I wouldn't even use the Friedman. I might use the Sedano side. Okay? But if I really want that late 80s, early 90s sound, I usually just use the SGX 2000. The Sedano would work though. There would be no problems with the Sedano. If you're chasing that sound, you just got to chase down. And the advantage to this, guys, a lot of that equipment you can find, just search reverb. You can find those Rocktron units that was just mentioned. You can find those at a really reasonable price. You can buy an SGX 2000 with the X11 or X15 foot controller. I've seen them as cheap as $300. I've seen them as expensive as $700 in mint. I've seen Purple Monsters, the Digitech unit, solid unit. I've seen those from $300 to $600. The Avid unit that Kirk has, that's a little newer, but you could go Avid. That's not tube though. That's going to be digital. Just sticking with tubes, you might want to look for an ADA preamp, MP1. You can't. ADA is an awesome unit. You could also look for a JMP Marshall rack mount preamp. That was a good unit. There were several others. Peavey made a stupid good one too. I forget what that thing was called. A Rockmaster? Do not let the rack mount Peavey Rockmaster. I'm pretty sure it was called a Rockmaster. That thing is stupid. It's a stupid preamplifier. It got no love. But believe me, that's a good preamplifier. There's a ton of them out there. There was a ton of rack mount pre. I think Hughes and Kettner made one too, a rack mount tube preamp. Finding one of those might be a little difficult, but I know you can find the Rockman or Rockmaster, whatever that PV one was. You can find those. So it depends on which rabbit hole you want to go down. I like rack stuff. That's just me. But if you look right next to that, I showed you the Egnator that I had. That Egnator is an awesome amp. You can get some nice hair sounds out of that, all the way up into like maybe late 90s, early 2000 type tones. It's a nice amplifier. So if you're on a budget and you're looking for a 2-channel combo amp, you might want to look for an Egnator. That's a Renegade. It takes pedals really well. That could be an option for you. There's just so many ways you can go. It's almost limitless. For me to tell you, you just got to go out and play. That amp that I showed you, my rack amp, that's an evolution of 10 years of playing out live. I'd buy a piece, I'd try, then I'd try something else. I like this better. Then I would buy a piece, I'd change something. Play it for a while. I'm like, no, this isn't working. I put the other piece back in, and I eventually found what I could get to work well to get the sound that I was looking for, if that makes sense. Was the other stuff bad? No. I just had issues getting it to work with the components that I had. Certain things play better with other things, if that makes sense. It doesn't mean that these two pieces are junk or bad, but maybe they just don't play well together. Maybe you got to take one of them out and find a different unit, if that makes any sense. Just like I was saying on the microphones, when you mic, you need to find two polar opposite microphones. That's why I suggested the SA and the Beta 57. Those two microphones on opposite ends of the spectrum. But when you use both of them, it really adds a lot of color to your signal. So, man, keep coming back. Keep us posted on what you find works. The chat, everyone wants to know what you're running. Everyone here that's familiar with the channel, they kind of know my system and what I use. And I use this amplifier a lot. I really do. And I picked this little guy up at Christmas. This is the, it's a little Friedman Mini BE. And I'm pretty sure it's just a Friedman pedal. Okay, the little pedal with the Friedman pedals 2-channel. I think they just chopped the board in half, threw it in a box with a Class D amp, and called it a mini head. That thing is actually pretty cool sounding. It's a pretty cool little sounding amp. I come right out of the effects loop of this into my wing rack, and I'm using plugins for my effects. It actually works stupid good, but it's not tube. This is a solid state. It's not a modeler. It's a solid. It's like a pedal. Pretty sure that's what's in there. So it's going to be like a solid state preamp going into digital effects that I have in the wing rack. I think it works well. I also tried it coming out and going into my Line 6 HX Stomp that I've got right here. That worked well too. If you got a little Pod Black Express, you can come out of the effects loop, go into that. I did plug this in over here on the side. I've got a PV 4-speaker Penta cabinet. I plugged the little mini into that with the Pod Express. Sounded really good. I've got a 2 V30 cabinet I plugged it into. It sounded good. You can go solid state. You know, you're not going to get that digital fakeness out of this. So you could also look into the Tone King, like the Imperial. There's nothing wrong with that pedal. It's a tube pedal. You might want to look at something like that, okay? And then a Line 6 or some kind of like a VP4, okay? Then to maybe a tube power amp and do a hybrid system. You know, everyone in the 80s, they were talking about tube power. You know, you'd go up to them and they'd have an Ibanez DS9 between the guitar and the amp. Well, that TS9 is solid state, and it was pushing that tube amp. So technically what they were doing, they had a hybrid setup. That's what I do in my art. I use 2 preamps. When I just run the art, I run it through the solid state preamp first, and then I add the tube preamp behind it. And I push the tube preamp with the solid state preamp, and it gives it just a meaner sound. So you could do the exact same thing with pedals. There's some of these new pedals are crazy. The Friedman pedal, but the Tone King pedals are actually tube. It's over there. I'm not going to get it. Seymour Duncan made a series of tube pedals. I have a Mayhem. It's 16 volt. You could come right out of that to an IR pedal to your interface. Or if you're wanting to build an amp, you could come out of that to one of those Seymour Duncan block amps to a cabinet. You could also do Imperial right out to a powered PA speaker. Don't forget that you can do that. You can go out of the Imperial to an IR pedal right to a PA driver. There's so many different ways that you can create a guitar amplifier nowadays. You know, don't limit yourself. Really look at all your options. There's a lot of them. And it's almost like trying to navigate a minefield. It really is. If I was an upcoming musician with all the options right now, I would have option paralysis. I wouldn't be able to pick. I wouldn't know which way to go. I really wouldn't. Especially without the experience that I have playing out and doing YouTube. If I was a younger musician or someone just starting out, I can see where it would get so confusing because there's so many products, and just like we just talked about, there's so many different ways that you can create a guitar system. I'm not even going to call them amplifiers. It's a guitar system. Whether you decide to go to a rack mount like that over there, or do a pedal type system, or buy a combo amp, or if you go traditional, a head, a cabinet, and some floor effects, there's just so many ways. Or you can go Helix Stadium right into a powered PA speaker. And if you want tubes, don't think that you couldn't take a Helix Stadium or a Quad Cortex or something like that and then add the tone kick into the circuit. Do a 4-wire system. Still have your tubes, still have your tube preamp system, but capitalize on the Quad Cortex or the Stadium or the Helix or whatever you want for all your effects. And then if you want to go tube power amp, go tube power amp to a cabinet. You want to save some money? You've already got the hours in the Helix and the Quad Cortex. You could go right to your interface or right to a powered driver. We've had this discussion a lot on the channel. I'm not going to say which way's better. I've been using a lot of modeling lately. And the other week we played through the Egnator, and I listened to that stream and I can hear the difference. That Egnator just sounds very clean. It's very warm. Digital's gotten better, but it's not as warm and clean. It just doesn't have the body that a tube amplifier has, even when you record it. And if it doesn't, then change microphones. There's something going on. Go back and watch the stream where we play through the Egnator. I think I got a really good sound using a Beta 57 and that SA instrument mic. It sounds great. There's no effects. I got a little distortion pedal on the floor. This, wherever it's at. I don't know where my red distortion pedal is. Anyway, it's a Dr. J. It's a Lancelot pedal. Oh, it's over there. Use that to kick the front side of channel 2 or to hit the clean channel on the Egnator. I was using the reverb in the Egnator, and that's it. Keep it simple, stupid, and it sounded good. So sometimes, according to Yngwie Malmsteen, more is more. But sometimes less can be more. It can be fuller and just more alive sounding. The more crap that we run our guitar signal through, the more it starts not sounding alive, if that makes sense. And I'm one to say that because I like the late 80s, 90s up to 2000. I like that process sound that they were getting. But that's not direct. I can hear the difference. I can hear someone that's just got the Marshall amp that's cranked to you know where, with nice reverb and just a little bit of delay, and that's hard to beat. But you gotta crank that amplifier to get that sound. You need a room in the basement that's soundproofed with a microphone in front of it, and just turn that Marshall all the way up, or that Friedman, or that Sedano, or whatever you got, and you'll get that sound. But you're not going to get it unless you crank the living you-know-what out of that amplifier. That's just the nature of the beast. That's why modeling has become so popular, because we can emulate that sound at a lower volume. All right, guys, I don't hear Linnell hollering in here, so we've either lost everybody or you guys are just having your own conversation. Again, I set the cameras up on that side, so I'm looking at the screen over here. I got to look at the camera. I want to thank everyone for coming and checking out the channel. We do a lot of reviews here. Tonight, we went over this Fender GTX 100. I think it's a nice amplifier for what it is, especially for what Linnell's intending to use this amplifier for. She wants to take her guitar, plug it in, turn a knob to get a different sound, and turn another knob for the volume. That's what she wanted. She doesn't want to know how to program it. She don't want to know anything. She just wants to turn a knob and get different sounds and have a volume. We thought this was the best option. It's got so many different effects and so many different things going on. And I'm sure I'm going to use it a little bit. So I'll program some sounds for her, maybe up in like 200 to 210. And I'll program. I've proven that you can get a good distortion sound out of this, even though the factory presets are go back, watch the beginning of the stream where I programmed my own preset. It is, and I did that quickly. So I'm going to go back and listen to that, and I'm going to listen to what you guys heard, and I'll modify it. Whenever you do a new preset, step away from it for a day or two and come back to it. Listen to it again. Especially if you've worked on it for longer than 10 minutes. Our ears tend to stop hearing correctly, okay? And we end up programming something that's way off. So spend 10 minutes and no more. Don't spend all night noodling. Spend all night playing. That's why we buy the amplifier. Play the guitar. No more than 10 minutes messing with your sounds. That's it. I know I can speak. I can get lost pushing buttons and changing the treble and turning this up and a little more gain. You know, I'm going to soften this. And before you know it, my practice time was gone. And all I did was screw around with my amp settings. 10 minutes. Play it. Just do your hour practice time. Go back to your setting, listen to it a couple days later, and just build on it. Go back and watch our very first stream, and you'll see every time I make a change, we relearn. The first couple streams we did with the new rack, it was awful. You know, new settings on the microphones, new this. Then we had problems with buzz, but then we figured it out. First streams, we had problems with microphones, getting decent microphone settings on live cabinets with open microphones. So I have set the stream up now to where it works in this environment. I like the modelers in this environment, if that makes sense. I could talk into the microphone. I hear the guitar only in the headphones. I hear what you guys are hearing, but it doesn't influence the microphones that I'm talking into. So in this case, I like it, you know. But that night we did the Egnator. It sounded awesome. You know, you can't beat tubes. But if you're going down the tube rabbit hole, you're going to spend 2 or 3 times the amount of money. You will, in the long run. Even if you find a good deal on an amp, now you got to buy microphones, you got to buy direct boxes. There's a lot of things. Load boxes. If you want that crank sound, count on buying a load box. And if you're loading that amplifier up like that, and you're playing it a lot like that, count on replacing tubes regularly. Like, I'm going to say at least every 2 years, depending on how you set your voltage plate and stuff like that. I can usually get, you know, if I play the valve, pro valve, all my biases are set really even. I can get 10 years out of a set of power amp tubes. Preamp tubes, that preamp tube that's in that ART, oh no, I did change it. Because I took the unit apart about 2 years ago and cleaned it. So I put a brand new GT tube in it. The tube that was in it before that was probably 15 years old. Just saying. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And tubes are expensive. All right, if you haven't already, please, please, please go down, hit the thumbs up button, consider subscribing.
Mikey wants to know what a load box is.
Load box. Basically, you take a 120 watt amplifier. If you crank it up, it sounds awesome. So what a load box is, it's going to load the amplifier down, and you can turn that volume all the way up. And it's going to think it's putting out all this power. But it loads the amplifier down to where it's still producing all that power. It's burning off that wattage. And then you can have a lower volume, but the amp thinks it's cranking. That's probably the easiest way of explaining it. Someone in the chat can probably explain it better. It's basically loading up that amplifier, okay, making it work extra hard, just like you were cranking it to get a moderate volume. I'm not going to say it'll get quiet, but instead of your ears bleeding, you can just piss off the neighbor closest to you, if that makes sense. If you've ever heard a 120 watt Marshall, or like I used to play a PV Butcherhead, it is freaking stupid loud.
Like a rectifier?
I don't know if they're using a rectifier in there or what they're doing to burn off that current. That would be, another channel, guys. I'm not a big, I don't understand all those circuits. I just know it loads the amplifier, and the amplifier is working extra hard to create its output power to that driver. But for what, I've never used one. For what I understand, you still can't get bedroom volumes, but it does help. So if you've got a 120 watt head and you want to crank it, and you want to get that Eddie Van Halen sound, it's still going to be loud, but it's not going to be so loud that it's ear deafening, if that makes sense. How loud would it be? Probably still loud enough to piss off your neighbors if you live close to people like me. I have good neighbors. I'm just nice. I'm not going to turn my rack mount power amplifier up to 1/3 volume at 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to wait. I usually wait 1, 2 o'clock. That way, no one, if they're sleeping in, they're not sleeping in that late. They're going to be up at 1 or 2 o'clock. And I usually don't do that past 4 or 5. That's it. Those are the sweet hours. I try to respect my neighbors. They've never called the law on me. None of them give me a funny look like, oh, what are you doing over there? You kind of suck at guitar. I heard you last night. I've never had them say anything to me, but I'm respectful to them. They're your neighbors. They can make your life a living you-know-what if you piss them off. So people buy these load boxes to get that amplifier down at a controllable volume, and it's still, the amp is still working. It still has that sound. Hopefully someone else will give you a much better description on that. I'm sure Kurt probably has one. Kurt's got everything. He's got like the little mini super studio crammed in next to his house. Kurt might be a good guy to reach out to give a really good explanation. He's probably already done it in the chat. All right, guys. Again, I want to thank everyone for clicking in. We're trying to grow the channel. Friday nights, I do have subscriber mode only on. Most of the time, we don't. I did it this time. We're unless Thursdays and Saturdays, it's open to everybody. But Fridays, anytime I'm doing a stream off night, I turn that on, if that makes sense. Hopefully, by doing off nights, we're catching people that normally don't see our normal streams. We review something usually every Thursday, okay? And then we have a gang hangout on Saturday nights. That's just where it's open topic. We talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So that's usually the schedule. Please go down, hit the subscribe button. On the bell, hit all. I promise I won't blow up your inbox. We're trying to grow the channel, like I said, but there's a lot of guitar reviews on the channel, over 70. A lot of guitar modification videos, and a lot of just working through problems. That's what this is. It's a journey on this channel going from recorded reviews to live reviews to a live hangout. All the little problems working on microphones, mixer issues, effects issues. That's what the channel's about, working through problems and discussing fixes that we've found, or cabinets or amps or anything else that we found that works. All right, guys, if we're going to do our 5-minute ending stream, that allows everyone to say goodbye, okay, end their conversations, and all that neat stuff. I think I'm the only channel that does that, but I think it's kind of cool. Like I said, it doesn't just cut the chat off at the end of the stream. The stream keeps going for 5 minutes and lets you guys finish up. Again, I'll see you all tomorrow night, Saturday night, And it's viewer topic night. So you guys come up with a topic, and that's what we're going to talk about. If you don't know, we have a Discord server, and you can go over there and you can post topics for Saturdays or Thursdays or whatever the next stream is. You can post topics for the next stream over there. Really good people over there. You can post your guitar builds, talk to some other guitar nuts just like all of us, or amp nuts. So go check that out. Again, thanks guys. Let's do our 5-minute window, and I hope I see everybody tomorrow night. I gotta get the right window.